We are pleased to have as our guest today Laurie Newmark. Laurie is an attorney with the Morristown family law firm of Townsend, Tomeo, and Newmark. And Laurie has agreed to come and meet with us to give women some ideas on, if you think you may be facing a divorce, how to be prepared before the legal action begins. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi, Judy. Thank you so much for having me.
And if you think you're facing divorce, the whole issue now of health care. What is my health now? What are my children's needs? How am I going to go forward? Who's going to have the policy? Where does all that stand in terms of, is that something you have to negotiate as part of your settlement?
Thank you, Judy. Excellent question, particularly in view of all of the recent changes to the healthcare industry and the laws affecting healthcare. It is very, very important that a discussion occur as to what will happen to the dependent spouse after the divorce. And what I mean by that is, if husband and wife get divorced, and wife traditionally provides the medical insurance, husband will need to get new insurance for himself. Well, let's say husband is not working or wife is not working and they're dependent on their other spouse for insurance. They're going to need to COBRA under the current laws of our state and of our country. They're going to need to get COBRA under their spouse's policy. This is not a forever solution. COBRA generally only lasts about 36 months, and it also is not free. So a discussion must occur. Is it a $200 expense? Is it a $600 expense? And the next logical question is, how are we going to pay for it? So it's very important that you not only find out is COBRA available, and the general answer to that would be yes, but what is the cost for COBRA? And you need to build that into a budget that would be required and needs to be considered after the divorce is concluded. And if there are children involved, okay, who's going to cover the children? Will the employed spouse continue to cover the children? Generally, the answer to that is yes. You need to consider what is going to happen and how are we going to pay for this in calculating a budget that would need to be used subsequent to the divorce.
Or if you were going to summarize, and you've made the point of how emotional and destructive the whole idea of a divorce can be and the whole proceeding can be, sum up for us ideally how you would like to see a woman in particular prepare emotionally for this ultimate breakup of her family.
The best preparation that someone could do for the divorce process, in my world, are really three things. One, educate yourself. Education is key. Meet with a divorce lawyer. Find out what a divorce looks like. Find out what the process looks like, where it happens, how it happens, what do you need to complete, what do you need to know, what do you need to consider. So, number one, knowledge. Number two, you have to put yourself in a place where you can put your emotional issues aside. The worst thing that a woman or a man could do is go into a divorce process filled with anger, unable to put their hostility or their rage or their despair aside so that they can't go through the process. That's the absolute biggest tragedy that I would see in a divorce. So, number two, put your emotions aside. Get your anger in check. Deal with that. Maybe that means you need a therapist. Maybe you need a support group, a counselor, someone to help you deal with the emotional aspects and not bring it into the divorce process. And three, give thought and consideration and have a plan of what you want life to look like after the divorce. You've gotten the education and the knowledge, so you know the framework of what the law would provide. So you're able to say, okay, looks like this may be getting some alimony. Maybe not forever, but maybe for a few years. But I need to get tools. Have a plan in place. Do I want to go back to school? Do I need to get myself back into the workforce? Do I need to move closer to my job? Do I need to change jobs? Give thought as to what life is going to look like when you go down the road of Plan B. So, to summarize, I really think if you're contemplating a divorce, there are 3 suggestions that I could give you. 1, educate yourself. Knowledge is power. Know the process. Know what you're entitled to. 2, get your emotions in check. Put your anger aside so you can meaningfully embrace and go through the process without being guided by rage. That will only cloud your issues and make your divorce longer, more hostile, and more expensive. And 3, consider what comes after the divorce process is concluded. What is Plan B? What is that going to look like? Where will I live? How often will I see the children? Will the children live with me 50%? All of the time? What will life look like when the divorce is concluded? If you pay consideration to those 3 areas, you should be able to move through the process just fine.